Alright. It's been a minute since I did one of these, but can't be that hard, right? Ow, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Chewie vlog. So, I would like to tell... Well, it was going to be one story, and then today happened. So I would like to tell a pair of quick stories. Now, for those that don't know, between Patreon and Twitch, that pays my rent and most of my bills, give or take. But if I want the other bills and gas and groceries for the month, then I have to do my side job, which is a driving gig for a car dealership. I go pick up cars, I deliver cars, I go, oh no, they didn't sign this paperwork, could you get it signed? Yes, and I go do that. Any reason they need anyone to drive anywhere, I can drive for them. And so yeah, so my mom, sometimes you need two drivers, and mom and dad were doing this long before I was. They were doing this back when I was doing the dark times. Let's not talk about that. So, as the old man has gotten older, he's given up on it. And so now I do the driving, and Mom is my second driver when I need a second driver. Now, they needed us to go to Wilmington to retrieve a car. Whatever, not important. What's important is we show up and say, and I have hiccups. Of course, I'm trying to do a freaking Chewie vlog, so I get hiccups. So, we show up, and I'm like, okay, we're ready. What car am I taking? And he opens up a drawer and looks over there and he goes, I don't know. I went, all right. He said, go over there and get this Hyundai, I can't remember what it's called. It was a Hyundai something or other. It was a 2016. He said, go get it from Mark. He's got the key. I said, okay. So I walk across there. I get it from Mark. It's in good shape inside, you know. It's only got like 30-some thousand miles on it to be a 16. I was like, ooh. And Mom and I get in the car and go. We notice almost immediately once I get on the highway. So I set the cruise, because that's what I do. I set the cruise because I'm on the highway. And otherwise I'll either go too fast or too slow, and both of those are bad. So I set the cruise, and all of a sudden the car goes, Mrr. And I look down and my cruise is disengaged. And I said, what? And I hit resume. And it doesn't resume. I'm going, resume. And nothing's happening. I'm like, ugh. So I speed back up, set the cruise. Cruise is set. Okay. Damn it. That was my chair. And I hit resume again and it won't resume. And I'm going, that's weird. So set the cruise again and I keep glancing down at the dash. And the cruise light blinks just for like that long. And and I went, wait a minute. So after fighting with it for a little while, I start trying to piece together what's going on. Because they've given me cars before where the cruise is just broken or that don't have cruise control at all. Because believe it or not, they still make that kind of car. But this one works and then it stops working. And that's different. And so I set the cruise, and then I tap the cancel button. And I hit resume, and it resumes. I'm like, okay, so resume's not broken. So then I set the cruise, and I tap the brake, and I hit resume, and it resumes. I'm like, okay, just basic troubleshooting. I have a degree in physics. What physics teaches you at its most basic level is how to solve problems with the data you have at hand. So I'm really good at tracking down problems. That's just one of those skills that I picked up. So, I set the cruise again, and then I turn the cruise off. Like, I don't cancel it, I turn off, off. And then I turn it back on and hit resume, and it doesn't resume. And I put together, that means that the cruise isn't just disengaging, the cruise is actually shutting off and coming back on, like, off on, off on, off on. I'm like, oh, what? That's weird. I guess I'll have to figure out a way around this. So I realized that if I have my finger over resume, but instead of pressing up for resume, I press down for set as soon as the cruise ends, I don't lose any speed. I'm like, hey, sweet. So every time it disengages, I tap set real quick, and we just keep on trucking. And at several points, I noticed that the iPod, because he has to still have an iPod, shut up, would stop playing for a second. And I was thinking it's because I tapped so on the steering wheel on this thing it had volume up and volume down, and you press it in to mute. And I kept going, whoops, I hit the mute button, because that's where I hold my hand, when I drive. And I went, damn it, I hit the mute button. So I would look over and tap the mute button and it would say mute. And I'd tap it again and it would unmute. And I'm going, that's weird. And I realized at some point that it wasn't me tapping the mute button, it was just pausing for a second. I'm going, well, that's really weird. And right before we get to Ashboro, which is roughly an hour, little less than an hour away, I realize, well, right before we get to Ashboro, the cruise dies and I hit set, and it dies and hit set, and it dies and hit set, and it dies, and it did that several times. And then the screen, because cars these days have the little screen, went black. And it came back on, and I went, because that's bad, with a capital B. Because that means it's not a problem with the cruise, or maybe the steering wheel, like the connections in the steering wheel. It's a problem with the electrical system. And I went, uh-oh. So I called my sales manager. I'm like, hey, man, because there was no rush on this drive. We were retrieving a loaner. So, like, they wanted it done, but it's not like, you gotta go get it now, like it would for a normal drive. Like getting a car for a customer or something. This was just retrieving a loaner. So, yeah, I call him and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna bring this car back. Would that be bad if we just bring it back and try again tomorrow? And he goes, no, what's going on? And I had told him before, you gave me another freaking car with no cruise, because it's a running gag between us, because a bunch of the loaner, not a bunch, but occasionally there's one of the loaners that he gives me sometimes that doesn't have cruise. And then I've gone to get cars from customers or do a dealer trade or something, or not a dealer trade, a trade with a customer where their cruise doesn't work. And I always am sure to point it out to him, because it's not like a 20-minute trip where the cruise doesn't work. No, it's like a 4-hour trip where the cruise doesn't work. So I made sure to point that out, and he's like, you're welcome. And I'm like, bitch. So I called him this time. I'm like, hey, man, you remember I told you the cruise wasn't working? This is a whole other thing. I think it's a problem with the electrical system. And he went, yeah, it's bad. Go ahead and turn around and come back. And I said, I already did, actually. We'll be back in a little bit. He said, how far did you get? I said, Ashboro. He went, buh. So we get all the way back to the dealership, a park. I go in and I'm like, hey, man, here's what happened. And he's like, all right. I said, what do you want me to do with this? You want me to leave it here or take it back over to Mark? He said, yeah, take it back over to Mark. I said, okay. I go out and I hit the start button and nothing happens. And I went, because this means when we shut the car off, it stopped working, which means that inevitably another hour, maybe hour and a half, maybe 2 hours past where we were, Mom would have said, I need to pee. And I would have said, okay. And we'd have found a gas station or a restaurant or something to stop and pee. And then we'd have come back out and tried to get in the car and go, and it wouldn't have gone. Which was my worst fear come to light in that car. Actually, no, my worst fear would be for the electrical system to just shut off while we were doing 70 on the highway. So my second worst fear is just being stranded on the side of the road waiting on somebody to come get us. So yeah, that was fun. I was glad that it died in the parking lot there, because that shows that I chose wisely. I wasn't just nervous about nothing. And yeah, I was like, okay, we'll just get a different car and go back tomorrow. He said, all right, cool, because at this point now it's too late to try to drive to Wilmington and back before they're going to close for the night. So when we get back the next day, it's still sitting there. So yeah, that was just a thing that happened. So yesterday we got a different car and went to Wilmington. Everything was fine. We came back. We got to Wilmington. We got back. Everything was fine. No problems. It was a really nice, boring, uneventful trip, which is the best kind. And we got back, and I had gotten a message from my friend Amanda, who's like, hey, you want Don Juan tonight? And I'm like, of course I want Don Juan tonight. Don Juan is a Mexican joint just down the street from me, and it is glorious. Ask Mike, Beardy Mike, or Scott, the old roommate Scott, or literally anyone, and around here. And Don Juan is the best. And I'm like, yeah, I want Don Juan. She's like, well, I'm just leaving work, and we're on the way to the dealership. I'm still like, I don't know, 10 minutes away from the dealership in Winston. We have to get there, fill out all the paperwork and whatnot, and then I have to make it back through the end of rush hour traffic to get back here to Kernersville to meet her for Don Juan. And I went, I don't actually know if I'm going to make it. She's like, well, let me know. So when we get there, I'm jumping out. I'm gotta go. And I grab, sitting down in the little storage area right beneath the USB ports, I had Mom's GPS plugged in because we still use a GPS instead of the phone because I don't have unlimited data because I can't afford it. So we use the GPS, and I had my iPod plugged in, and my wallet was sitting there. So I unplugged the GPS, wrapped it up, and took it over to Mom. I came back and unplugged the iPod, wrapped it up, and put it in my pocket, and gathered up my bag that has all my stuff in it, and my coat. My hoodie was in the back seat, and all of that. And I said, all right, let's go. And we filled out all the paperwork, and I said, okay, I'll see you later. And I met Amanda at Don Juan, eventually. Traffic had all cleared up by then, thank goodness. So I get to Don Juan, and I managed to beat her there somehow. So I'm sitting there, just, waiting. And she shows up, and I stand up, and I give her a hug, and I sort of instinctively pat my pockets, and I find keys, phone, and I pat my back pocket. Well, shit. She said, what? I was like, I hope you're buying dinner. She said, why? I'm like, 'cause I don't have my wallet. She said, I guess I'm buying dinner. I'm like, I appreciate that. So I text the manager. I'm like, hey, man, could you go check the tracks? It was a Chevy Trax, was the car I was driving. See if my wallet's still in it. He said, yeah. And he texts me back a second later and says, I mean, it's got nothing but dust and moths in it, but yeah, it's here. I went, thank you. So what time are you leaving tonight? He said 7:30. I looked down, it's 10 after 7. And I went, ugh. He said, why? Where are you at? I'm like, he said, how far away are you? I'm like, dude, I'm at a Mexican restaurant and we just ordered. So never mind. I'll just come get it in the morning. He's like, yeah, okay, man. I'll put it away for you. I'm like, thanks. So I didn't have a wallet. So I wake up this morning. I slept hard last night, too. I watched Die Hard, and then I went to sleep, but started Die Hard way too late. I was watching it on Crackle, which means every, 20 minutes I had a commercial. It wasn't that frequent, but, there were commercials decently spaced. And so it was late by the time I got to bed. And so I slept hard, and I woke up, and I'm like, yes! No, I have to go get my freaking wallet. So I don't even eat breakfast. I just get dressed. I'm like, hey, I'm coming to get my wallet. And he goes, all right. So I go get my wallet. I show up, and he's not there. And I'm like, hey, man, Scott's got my wallet over here somewhere. You know where it is? I'm like, he goes, nah. So I'm digging through drawers and stuff and find my wallet. I'm like, all right, got it. Thanks. I'll see you later. And he goes, actually, wait, I might need you to go somewhere. I went, what? He's like, yeah, we got to go to this customer's house. It's like the other side of town. It's not like a long drive. He said, and get 2 cars. You're going to go with the salesman. And I look over at the salesman he pointed to, and he's over there with a customer. And I went, okay. So I sit down. I grab my phone, and I start screwing around, whatever stuff, And the salesman comes over for something for the deal he's working, and dude goes, hey, man, you almost done? And he goes, no. I went, so you're going to be a while? He goes, it looks like it. I said, I'm going to go get lunch. So I go to the Mexican joint across the parking lot where I used to eat all the time when I worked at the shit job in the dark times. Because food was like my only source of joy back then. Food and podcasting, oddly enough. But anyway, so I ate the Mexican food. And I ate way too much. I got a chimichanga and rice and beans, and I cut the chimichanga up in little bits, and then I mixed it all up, and then I ate it all on chips. Oh my God. Oh, it's my favorite thing to get at that place. But anyway. So come back, and as I walk in the door, the sales dude is shaking the dude's hand, and he walks out the door, and I'm like, timing. And I was like, all right, where are we going? He goes, I have no idea. So we walk over to the dude and to the sales manager, and we're like, all right, where are we going? And he goes, hell, I don't know. Look up his address. And here are the keys. And I'm like, what are we getting? He goes, I don't know. The car that this key starts and the car that this key starts. And I'm like, awesome. Glad y'all are just buying up nonsense that you've never seen. He goes. So he texts the sales manager. No, the salesman texts the dude. We get his address. I punch it into my phone, and I'm like, oh, it's on the other side of town. There's not a good way to get there. We either have to go down like this or have to go like this because there's no this. And he goes, great. So we walk back over. We're like, all right, we're going to go get these cars. He's like, take a jump box. We said, why? He goes, because I don't know what these cars are like. They might not start right away. You might need to jump them off. And we went, okay. So we go to find the jump box. There's no jump box. So we come back. There's no jump box. He goes, damn it. So he calls over to somebody, and somebody goes, oh, I got it. I used it, and I gave it to such and such to bring back to you. Did she not? No. All right, I'll call her. So now we're waiting. And the dude calls back, and he goes, all right. I told her to bring it over. She'll be right there. We said, okay. Like 5 minutes later, sales manager goes, you know what? We should probably call this guy. He's like, I texted him, but he's at work. He's not going to answer. He's like, hey, I'm going to call him. So he calls this guy. He goes, hey, we just want to let you know we're coming to get those 2 cars. And there's a pause. And he goes, in the back? Because apparently the dude said, all right, there's one on the side of the house. There's one in the back. And he's like, in the back? Yeah. Do these cars run by chance? He's like, oh yeah, they run. They just don't have batteries in them right now. And he's on his phone with a customer, and he puts it down and does this. And then picks it back up and starts talking again. And he's like, well, then we can't get it. He's like, I'm going to have to send a tow truck or something down there. All right, well, never mind then. And he hangs up. And I hand him back the keys to the loaner. I'm like, what's up? And he tells it, he's like, he says it's got no batteries. We're like, what? It's like, what? So now I've been there. I went to get my wallet. And I've been there for, it was like 2.5 hours. I'm like, I'm going home. So yeah, this is just 2 stories over 3 days. That was, 2 days ago, yesterday, and today. This is what I deal with my driving gig. And look, this is almost a 20-minute video to tell you this. I apologize for how long and dumb this is, but this is just the crap that I deal with. This is not even getting into all the payroll issues, but that'll just make me angry. So let's not talk about that. So yeah, I just thought I'd share. So thank you all so very much for joining me on my rambling nonsense. And, I don't know. Don't buy cars from these people. Or do buy cars from these people. I don't know. I'm gonna go now.